I lost about $500,000. So
What?
I shorted the market. My way of trading and my way of looking at the market has evolved. Someone that has $1,000 and they're jumping into day trading, number one.
Hello, I'm Andrew Hales. Welcome to another edition of Chatting With. I'm here with Umar, the 23-year-old stock trading millionaire that I interviewed about 5 years ago. Got 3.6 million views on the channel. Don't ask me how. Just catching up with him now. Thanks for being here, Umar.
Thank you for having me on, Andrew. Yeah, that interview blew up. Till today, I get updates and messages about it, and they're like, "Oh, you called the market crash. You have to do a part two with him. You have to give us an update on where you're at." And I'm like, "We'll figure something out."
Yeah, that's interesting. The market, well, to be fair though, wasn't it because of COVID?
It was because of COVID, and that's one thing I wanted to kind of bring up because everyone thought I kind of predicted it. And I'm like, I would love to take the credit, but that was something that I had no idea was going to happen.
Yeah.
I looked at the market from a completely different perception or point of view, and that was just kind of like a left field thing that happened. But everyone's giving me credit for it, and I'm like, I don't deserve the credit. Trust me.
Well, you kind of explained because of the market was like getting to um I don't know, something like what was do you feel like even without COVID it would have crashed?
Not crash. We would have definitely seen some major pullback. We had record low interest rates for a really long time, and we were kind of hitting that stride finally, where market was about to flip. And I think we started seeing that, I believe, in 2019, where the Fed started incorporating raising interest rates and shifting the market and so on. But COVID just came out of nowhere, caused that crash, and made us actually go up a lot higher. So COVID, in a short term, made the market crash for like a month or two, but from like a longevity, it added more money into the markets.
What are you doing now? How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been trading. Trading's gotten a lot better year after year. Trading, been building this software company, TradeZilla, and just trying to get better at the craft.
What's TradeZilla?
So we started a software company where traders can basically track their trades, track their data, kind of look at areas of improvement. So one thing that happened with me around age 25, I'm currently 29, is I started realizing that there's a lot of mistakes I make, a lot of patterns I have, and one thing that I need to start doing more of is like journaling and tracking. And the moment I kind of realized that, I've started tracking every single thing in my trading. So from there, the idea was like, hey, why not just build out a tool for myself? And then that just started obviously growing.
So what's an example of a journal entry?
For example, like, hey, I got in at 9:35 a.m. I traded Tesla. I got in at 9:35. I bought 100 shares because of this setup or this strategy. I got out at 10 a.m. because this is what I saw on the chart. So when I see my entries and exits plotted on a chart, I'm able to see how much I risked, what my maximum profit was, maximum loss was, my running P&L for the trade, and also, my psychological aspects of that particular trade. It allows me to see areas of improvement, areas of weakness.
All right, very nice. How long's that been going on?
It's been we launched what, about 2 years ago, 2.5 years
Okay.
ago, yeah, 2.5 years ago, about.
And I saw you had a YouTube channel, which is awesome. You're already up to like 700,000 or something.
Yeah, I intentionally started taking YouTube serious about a year ago. About a year ago, we're at 180,000 subs. Right now, we're like at seven something. So
Nice.
a lot of that was just, hey, how do I share my knowledge with an audience, push it out, grow that, and just start sharing everything from my trading journey that I can share. A lot of stuff out there. The problem is it's a lot of fluff, right? And when I started trading early on, people are kind of pushing out this false perception of what trading is. And when they put that false perception of trading out there, a lot of the newcomers who are 18, 19, or even older people that are dabbling into the market, they kind of get fed the wrong way of trading. So my biggest purpose of the educational component of my channel has been like, hey, what video would I make that would benefit the 18-year-old Umar? Right? So 18-year-old Umar is getting into trading. What content can I make? What piece of information can I share with an audience? And if it doesn't fit that narrative, I won't push it out.
Yeah, you're scratching your own itch.
Yeah.
That's kind of just a golden rule of all business and entertainment. Just do what you would make what you would watch or listen to, and make what you would use,
Yeah,
whatever.
no, absolutely,
But
absolutely. It's just, like I said, in this space, especially after COVID, it's gotten so filled with like,
yeah, it's
yeah,
like a whole subculture. It's crazy.
it's literally insane. Like it's
There's
like
so many.
telling people you're a trader nowadays is not as
A good
attractive.
look.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a good look as it was like when you and I did the interview 6 years ago about trading was more like it was a little bit more attractive. Like, oh man, it's trading. How do I get into it? Now it's like everyone after COVID is essentially a trader, and it's
Now,
kind of
yeah, now
given the
it's got
space.
this. It's
Yeah,
got this like icky douchebag feeling to it
yeah,
now.
yeah. That's everywhere
So
that's going on with it. So that's why it's like with the content and education element of it. It's like, hey, why not just share my way of trading? Why not give people how I'm looking at the market? If it benefits some people, cool. If it doesn't, then it is what it is.
yeah, and you're not selling any classes or anything like that.
At the moment, I'm not selling any mentorships, discords, group chats, nothing.
Um, so you're 29 now,
Yeah.
and I noticed on a post on Instagram 25 midlife crisis. What can you talk about that? What happened there?
Uh 2011, I think it was just a caption, honestly, but I think at what happened
Okay.
around 24, 25 is just Instagram, right? I think it was just 24, 25, just trying to pivot what the next thing is for me in terms of like career wise. I think I hit a burnout with trading at a point. At 25, it's
Well,
been,
was that 2020?
that was around 2020, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was around 2020. It's COVID happened. I had my biggest trading loss ever. I lost about $500,000. So
What?
I shorted the market. So crazy thing,
Damn.
right? So I shorted the market. So for people that don't know what shorting is, it's ideally that you can make money when a stock or something goes down. So I was shorting during the time COVID was a big thing, and that position at a point was up about 400 grand. So I initially put in 500,000 in chunks. 200K position, added 100, added another 100. So my
Wait, what
position,
stock was it?
I was SPY. It was the S&P 500. I played
Oh.
options. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so yeah, it's like an index fund.
Yeah, basically. So, but I bought put options for that, right? And my
Okay.
position was about $500,000, and I was up on it. I was up about 80%. So my position at one point, like the value of that position, was worth 900 grand. I put 500. I was up 400. And then what happened in March and April of 2020 is when the Feds basically cut interest rates to zero, they started pouring a lot of money into the markets. Market had this like V-shaped recovery that it just recovered so fast. And while the market started going higher and higher, that position went from 900, 7, 4, 2, and then 1. And then obviously with options, you end up losing it all.
You, uh, you couldn't just wait it out till it went back up or went back down in that case?
So
I don't
with
know.
options, you have an expiration date. So I had a few expiration dates that I think that this particular stock or market or index, whatever, is going to go higher or lower by this date. And my date or expiration time was coming closer and closer. One was September of that year. The second one I believe was May of next year, and then September of the year after. And anyone that's been watching the market in 2020 and 2021, market was ripping, making all-time highs over and over again.
Well, yeah, that reminds me of GameStop. Did you get into any of that?
No, I maybe call it a very small amount, but you know what it is with trading. It's like when you get to a point when when you know a good amount, you look at some trades and you're like, this doesn't fit my narrative of trading. It doesn't fit my style of trading. This is what I trade. This is how I trade. This is just me buying and hoping it goes up. So I avoided GameStop in that big 2021 run up.
And AMC and all that.
AMC, I
Yeah.
touched a little bit. I bought some shares. I kind of swung it. Nothing too crazy, but
Huh.
it was the idea was how do I make sure that I stay disciplined in my trading the way I trade, and this is what I look at. This is how I trade. These are the tickers I touch. These are the setups I need. So when AMC and GameStop came up, none of that fit into my way of trading. So I'm happy I was disciplined, but then when I look back at it, I'm like, oh man, if I just bought X amount of shares, I could have made, it's human nature.
Yeah. Right. What is your way of trading? What's your strategy?
So my
Just
focus,
as a refresher, I guess, 'cause
sure.
I think we kind of covered it on the last one, but yeah, let me
Yeah,
Give me a summary again. Yeah.
yeah, so just real quick. So the last interview we've done, I think I never really got a way to explain fully my way of trading. Also, when I was 23 to now that I'm 29, my way of trading and my way of looking at the market has evolved, right? So it's not like I trade the same way I was when I was 23 and 24. Things I used to look at, my setups, my ideologies of the market, how I wait for things to kind of formulate. It's completely different. Okay, so the
You
way
haven't improved.
I'd like to think, yeah, I improved. It's a lot. Like when I look at myself the way I traded at 23, it's like I disagree with parts of it. Right, it was
Okay.
working, right? But it's like,
Yeah.
over time when you do any career path, over time when you look back, you're like, okay, well, that wasn't the best approach to this thing that I'm doing, right? So when I look back at my trading then, a lot of it was like, okay, well, I could have improved in this area. My setup and my focus points here weren't the best. My thought process of the market wasn't as good as it is now, right? So to go back into now how my trading and what how I trade now is, back then I was looking at a lot of like mid cap stocks. I would pick a new stock every day, a stock that's trending, a stock that's moving, and I would try to kind of capitalize the momentum of that play, right? Now I stick to, let's say, less than 10 names, right? One being SPY, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, like some of these bigger names, and I'll trade them out of the month. And when I'm trading them out of the month, I'm typically looking for like 4 to 6 good trading days out of a month. So every given month, we have about 20 good trading days, right? We have 20 trading days in a given month. And out of those 20 trading days, we'll have maybe 4 to 6 that have like really consistent moves, right? Trending days, days where the market starts making cleaner moves. Other days will have very flat or choppy action where the market isn't moving as much. Back then, I would show up every day and I would try to capitalize on a move every day. Sometimes I'll make a couple of $100, sometimes I'll make a couple of $1,000, sometimes I'd make money, lose money, etc. But what I was destroying was my mental capital, right? Because it's like, imagine sitting in front of a computer for 5 hours, putting on trades, walking out the day making $100, where it was better off for you to just stay cash and avoid that day and save your mental sanity. So that's one thing I've improved a lot on, and like picking days when to trade and when not to trade. In terms of like trading wise and approach wise, I'm looking a lot at order flow. I'm looking a lot of like the interaction between buyers and sellers. Looking at price action, where back then I did have some indicators I used. Now I use essentially no indicators besides maybe Vwap, right? My whole trading idea is, let's identify where buyers are interested in, trading, where sellers are interested in transacting, where buyers and sellers are basically interested in transacting at a fair price. And then at that transactional level, who is able to dictate price, who's able to be more aggressive, who's able to drive price in their favor. Is it the buyers? Is it the sellers? So it's just looking at the market or looking at my trades from an auction point of view.
You kind of feel like your intuition has evolved.
I think when you do anything for a long period of time, you do, you develop a little bit of intuition. But I think outside of intuition is just developing the skill set. Intuition plays a very small part, which in trading it is very important. But it is the element of skill and then maybe a hint of intuition.
What is this skill set? You're staring at this computer and you're looking at it go up and down on the line in the graph, and how can you tell if it's a good trading day or not?
Yeah,
And then
sure, of course.
yeah.
So when I look at good trading days and bad trading days, there's a lot of different variables. One is, the main one, is starts off with like economic data, right? What, as the overall market, what is the market waiting on? So for example, let's say the market is waiting for the Fed meeting, the FOMC meeting, right? Let's say today, which is Tuesday, July 30th, let's say that meeting, for argument's sake, is next week, right? It's next week on Wednesday. Now, typically what will happen is, if that's a meeting that's happening and the market is really focused on what the results of that meeting are going to be, most players, most institutions will stay cash, meaning they'll stay on the sidelines. So during that time period, we won't really see activity happen. We won't really see moves happening on a day-to-day basis. So that could be one factor. Now, when that meeting is done, the day after that, typically we'll start seeing a move. Now, it doesn't mean the move is going to be up or down. I don't know. But I know that this is the day players are going to come to transact. They're going to come to play. If they're going to come to transact and play, there's a high probability that there may be some sort of trading opportunities that exist. And my job then becomes to identify those trading opportunities for that given day.
Okay, so on that day, for example, you'll see SPY, you'll put in 10,000, and then you typically wait till you see enough profit to take out.
In one essence, sure, but I think it's more like, well, let's say I'm going into the day, and let's say as I'm going into the day, I'm seeing that the market is gapping up. It's gapping up above yesterday's key range levels. We're seeing a strong hold pre-market before the market opens. Now, as we go into the session, those same areas of transactional zones that I'd call them, I'd see how price reacts there. If price starts reacting good there, now it's like, okay, well, I'm seeing there's buying activity. If there's buying activity and buyers are present and active, I'm looking to go long. I'll buy shares or I'll buy options. Most of the time I'm trading options with a stop, right? So my stop would be, let's say, 10% for argument's sake. So if I am buying $1,000 worth of contracts, I am risking $100 on the trade. Then on the flip side, does this trade have juice for me to really make money on it, right? Now, some trades I'll end up making 200, 300, 20%, 30% on that particular trade. And it's not like, oh, well, when do I have enough profit and I'm happy? Because as humans, when you get into trading and after some time, you're never going to be happy. There's days I've done really well and I'm still not happy with it. So the idea becomes, how do I make sure I have a systematic approach where I take money off the table, where I lock in profit? So if I start going up 10, 15% on a given options trade, I will start taking some off the table, regardless of if I'm happy or not. Because I've had days where, Andrew, I've made like 30 grand in 22 minutes. And if I held for another 20 minutes, that position for options would have doubled or tripled. So I look at
Right.
that and I'm like, oh man, damn, I should have held. But then when you do that on a longevity of trades, it just doesn't work out, and it's not a win-win situation. So you have to start accepting that as well as a trader. Like, hey, I know I'm not going to catch the whole move every time. This is the part of the move I want to catch, and if I'm able to catch that move consistently 1,000 times over, I'm good.
How many years did it take for you to call yourself good at it?
Okay, so I've started when I was 18. I'm currently 29, so I've been trading for 11 years. I didn't feel good genuinely until maybe like year 7.
Damn, what?
Yeah. And I'll tell you what I mean by
So
good.
even during our last interview, you
No,
didn't really.
no. And what I mean
Okay.
by feel good, I'll tell you what I mean by feel good, right? I feel like, I don't know if this is with every career path or maybe it was just with trading, where when we did our interview, I was 23. It was kind of like, okay, well, I'm doing well in trading. Can I do well again next year? Can I do well again next year? Can I do well again the year after? I didn't have that confidence instilled in me. Right now, I think after like 7ish years is when I was like, okay, I got a really good hang of this. The first 7 years, being the first 2 I wasn't profitable, those first 5 years when I started making money, it was like, okay, well, okay, I got it. I think I'm good. And then every time a year would go ahead, it would hit me again, like, okay, because every time you have a bad month or you have a bad quarter in trading, you start questioning, like, am I gonna be able to do this forever, right? Or for a long period of
Uh-huh.
time. So that kind of plays this, game in your head, and that did happen for the first 7 years. Afterwards, like now, I'm at a mentally comfortable space where I know if I follow the things I'm supposed to follow and do the things I'm supposed to do as a trader, maybe not today, maybe not next month, but slowly and surely, I will make money.
Yeah, you mean so you have kind of a list of principles that you live by, like this 10% thing. If it's 10% up, then you take out,
Not
right? Or something like
not
that.
every single trade, but on a given trade, yeah, I do follow principles and I do follow rules and I do follow approaches that have to make sense for me to show up and execute on trades.
Yeah, like you have a system.
Yeah.
Um,
And even the system, just, to go on the system, is like the system has changed many times. Like I started trading penny stocks. I then went into like mid cap stocks, then had a different approach of trading, then another approach of trading. So that's evolved over the years. Like one thing that I see on social media a lot that a lot of people follow, especially newcomers, is like they'll trade support and resistance, or they'll trade like patterns, or they'll trade off indicators. And it's like when you really think about it and like sit down for a minute and you go, well, is that really how we think that a $1 trillion plus market is moving off lines, right? Off patterns, right? Off these,
I have no idea.
So when you look at it from that point of view, it's like, no, that's not what's moving the market. It's not as simple as, hey, it's hitting this line, so you should buy. It's coming down, hitting this line, you should buy. No, there's more to it. There is understanding, well, why is it going down there? Why is it having this strong move down? Is it actually a strong move down? What is the sentiment, right? Are buyers sitting here? Are they present? Are they active to react to that price? So you have to start putting pieces together. And when you're able to put those pieces together, you start understanding the context of the whole trade or the market as a whole. It's not as simple as, once again, there's a line. When it gets to the line, you buy. When it does this to this EMA or SMA or indicator, you sell. The people that are talking about that aren't, in my opinion, they're most likely not profitable.
So you still have days where you lose a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. I have days, I have weeks. Like I go in like tilts. The game we're in trading. This is very normal. Like for you to like losing money is the cost of doing business as a trader.
The object is just to win more than you lose.
I mean, in simple context, the object is when you win 2 to 3 times more than your average loss. And if you're able to do that, and even if you don't win a lot, you're still going to be profitable, right? So in just a simple mathematical formula, imagine out of 10 trades, you're right 4 times. But the 4 times you're right, you make $3. So those 4 times you made 12. The 6 times you're wrong, you lose $1 each time. So just from like a simple mathematical formula, even if you are right 40% of the time and you have a good win to loss ratio, you are most likely going to be profitable. The problem with traders is they try to be right on every trade. And when they're right, they take a little bit more profit and call it a day. And when they're wrong, they'll let that trade like bleed out and get destroyed.
Yeah. So when you lost 500,000 in 2020, how much money did you have left? Or
I didn't lose everything, but in context, that year in 2020, I ended that year being up close to $2 million in profits by like the end of the year. At that time, when I lost the $500,000, I was up, I think about 1.1. So the first 3 months of 2020, I was up about 1.1 million. That's why I took a bigger trade, because now it's like, oh man, I'm doing so well. That was a really strong kick to the year. So subconsciously, my confidence and ego was a lot higher, which then allowed me to take a more stupid blinded trade where I shouldn't have allocated 50% of my profits in one wild, crazy trade, which didn't make sense. But I got very blinded by my confidence at that particular point, which made me add a lot of size to that one trade. And then when you add a lot of size, you get these blinders of not being able to see what the trade is actually saying or doing. You just look at, well, how much money am I going to make? I look at that trade where, hey, if the market keeps going down, my 500K position is going to make me $3-4 million, right? I didn't look at, well, what are the real facts that are happening in the market that may make this position go higher and against me, because I was in with a lot of money and I had blinders on.
Right. So that's what they mean by like trading is 90% psychological.
So that's the point I want to talk about, right? Trading is like psychology plays a role in your trading only when you know what you're doing, right? So let me explain what I mean by that. A new beginner trader will start trading and they'll go, hey, Andrew, I've been trading for 2 months and it's like, it's all psychology. I get greedy, I get fearful, I get all this stuff. And you start going, well, wow, it is psychology. Psychology plays such a big role. However, does that person have a proper strategy, a proper approach that is back tested, that is proven, that is repeatable? Most of the time, the answer is no. So how can your psychology play a role in something when you don't know how to do that something? Right? So it's like, imagine
Right.
swimming, right? If someone doesn't know how to swim and they jump in the pool and they're like, oh, I'm drowning because I'm scared and I keep panicking. Yeah, but you don't know how to swim. If you know how to swim and you have swam over and over again and you've proven that you can swim, now if you jump in the pool and for whatever reason you panic and you drown, now it's like, okay, this guy knows how to swim, but they allowed their fear to kind of overtake and block them out. So psychology, yes, it plays a role, but before you kind of convince yourself that it plays a role, you have to go into like, well, my trading needs to be good. And that's what a lot of like these trading gurus do. They'll say, hey, Andrew, you're not doing good because you're trading psychology. And that's why they like to talk a lot about psychology, right? Psychology, psychology, psychology. And once again, psychology is important only if and when you know how to trade. If you know how to trade, psychology becomes a topic that you can tackle easier when you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to feel psychology. You're going to feel all these emotions because you're lost, unsure, confused, and so on.
Are you saying you kind of felt lost and you don't feel like you really found your footing until 7 years into it?
Not that I felt lost. I didn't feel lost, but I didn't have the confidence that I would be able to make money or be profitable again next year and next year. So it's like, okay,
Wow.
I did good this year. Great. Can I do it again next year? I don't know. Especially when you have like a bad month. And I think it creeps up in every trader if you ask them that whenever you have a bad month or a bad week, what are the thought processes? And every trader will tell you that they want to either quit or they lose this confidence of like, can I perform again? Can I make money? Oh man. And you start feeling like this. So even when we did our interview around that time, I didn't have the confidence that like, hey, I'm 23, I'm doing really well, great. But also, will I be able to make money from trading again year after, year after, year after?
That's interesting because it's kind of like YouTube. Like every year I'm like, am I good enough to do this? Like, but you just kind of manage.
Yeah, I think anyone that's really passionate about what they're doing and they create this high level of like pressure, which I think is good. You feel like, okay, well, can I keep doing it? Which is good. And I think that maybe does go across every industry.
Yeah. Wait, so you have bad days where you lose money. Do you have bad months where
Oh
you've
yeah,
lost money
absolutely.
for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole month?
Yeah, I've had
And even like a 6 month streak, you're like you're still losing
I
money?
haven't had a 6 month streak. I think that would be really concerning. I think probably the most longest streak I've had probably in the past 3 years was maybe like 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Where you didn't make any money.
I lost money. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was bad.
That
I
that'd be
remember.
stressful.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was 2020. No, 2022. Summer of 2022. I think in a span of like 7 days, I probably lost like 80 grand, 90 grand. Right? Just like stupid trades. And those were trades I deserved to lose because I was traveling. I was away to Europe at that summer, and I was just taking these trades, aiming to make money. And those 7 days when I lost money, or 8 days I lost money, it carried over to the next few weeks because now I'm in the mindset of I need to make it back. I need to make it back. I need to get good. Oh man, why am I messing up? Why am I messing up? So then like week 5, 6 is when I took like a hard stop and I was like, okay, well, I need to regather myself because I'm just shooting a bunch of shots, trying to make money, and I'm not trying to be a good trader. Right? And that's like a big thing that I learned a few years ago where it's like in the game of trading, and I think this applies to everything, don't aim to make money, aim to be a good trader. So it's like in YouTube, right? You can apply the same concept. Don't aim to make money, make the best content possible. If you make the best content possible and you make great YouTube videos, great titles, great thumbnails, great everything, you'll get more views. More views will generate more money, right? Same thing in trading. Don't put money as a goal. Put the goal of how do I make sure I have the best title, thumbnail, best process, best approach, best everything. When I do that consistently for years and years, the money will start to creep up.
Yeah, focus on the process, not the results.
Yeah.
How many hours a day do you work now? Like on Monday through Friday?
So now it depends because I'm involved in a few projects, a few companies. So my time gets really split amongst them. That's also why like I haven't really posted a YouTube video in 7 months, right? Because people are like, oh, you haven't posted since like January. I'm like, I YouTube is like my last most important thing with everything I have going on. So it's like for me, when I can, I'll make content. But if I can't, which has been 7 months, I won't be able to. So in terms of trading wise, I'll probably spend 25 hours a week on trading, right? On an
5 hours a day.
Not always. So I'm not showing up every day. Like there's days like I'm not looking at the markets. There's days I'm not touching the market. Where most of my time goes is like reading about like the markets, reading about what's going on. I like to stay in touch with the overall elements of the market, the economy, and so on. Second is, on Sundays, I prepare my upcoming week and I recap my last week. That's where most of my time goes. Hey, what are some trades I've taken last week? What are some opportunities I've missed? What are things in the markets that have moved, why they move? And then from there, I'll plan my upcoming week. Now, from the upcoming week, there's some weeks, I'll have long days, right? And some days, like I said, I don't show up. But most of the time, my cutoff is around 11 to 12 p.m. Eastern time. So my trading session would start at like around 8 a.m. ish Eastern time, and market opens at 9:30. So by 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, about 2.5 hours, 3 hours max from opening time to pre-market, I'm done. I don't like to sit in front of my computer trading wise all day long. Yeah. And that's another thing. That is what I did when I was 23.
Okay. Did that kind of burn you out a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah. When I was 23, it was like, I'm going to sit here and I'm not leaving until I make X amount. And some days that would end terribly.
You said you made like $1 million in 2020.
About 2 million.
Half of that, 2 million. So
No, that was after the loss. That was after the loss. So
Right,
2 million
okay.
is like taking the loss, counting everything in. Yeah.
So your taxes, you had to give away 50% of it, though?
Essentially, yeah.
I mean, I see you're doing stuff in Dubai. You're an American, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people think like I have something in Dubai, and people think like, oh, you're in Dubai because you can get away with taxes. And I'm like, as a U.S. citizen, when you have an American passport, Uncle Sam follows you to every corner of the world, right?
Right. So you'll never have a United Arab or what are they? Emirates?
Emirates, they don't really give out passports. They'll give you like a visa for 10 years, right?
Okay.
But like they don't
But
they don't give a
they don't
passport.
they don't make you pay taxes to them?
No, but you still have to file in America, right? So even if you go in middle of nowhere in a different country and you make money, you
Right.
still have to report that to, the federal government here. I'm like, hey, I was in Dubai and we did X amount. Here you go.
Cool.
And they want their piece.
Do you write off anything? You write off traveling?
Yeah. I mean, from a business point of view, there's a lot of things you can write off. Even when you go into like the tax code, right? Even when you go into the tax code, the thing with the tax code is you could make, there's a lot of strategic ways where you can lower your tax rate, which are tools given by the government, to do that. Like I know so many people that, do very, very well, but they're paying less taxes than the average person.
Yeah.
So there's just strategic ways of like, how do you lower your tax rate? How do you, pay a lesser amount? And it's all legal, right? Like you see Trump,
Right.
Trump does it, and all these other big guys.
Well, isn't the main way they do it is they just draw a salary of like 40,000 and then they only pay taxes on that salary?
Yeah, I mean, if you have like a corporation, you can kind of do that, but the corporation would still have to pay taxes, right? So the idea
yeah.
that some people do is they'll, with real estate, you can get a lot of depreciation, massive write-offs with the real estate. That's why you'll see a lot of these really, really wealthy people buying jets. If you buy a jet, you can write off the whole thing. So if you make $50 million 1 year, you go and write a check for a jet for $50 million, you pay $0 in taxes. So instead of giving the government $25 million in taxes, you now essentially own a jet. So there's a lot of these tax codes out there that could be applied to lower your tax bill.
Well, also unrealized gains. Like if you own $10 million worth of worth of Tesla, you don't have to, unless you take it out, you don't have to pay taxes on that, right?
Yeah, unless you sell it, you don't, because they're unrealized. You can't really tax people on unrealized gains. It doesn't really make sense in my opinion. But yeah,
Right.
you don't have to pay tax on that. And from that, what a lot of people do in predicaments like that, if you have a 40, or let's say you have a $30 million portfolio, instead of selling these great names that you hold, they'll just take a loan out against that portfolio. So it's like, let's say you have a $30 million portfolio, you want to buy something for argument's sake, and it's $5 million, you can just take a loan out against it at a low interest rate, and now you have $5 million that you obviously have to pay back, but you're not paying tax on your positions to kind of take it out.
Yeah. That's kind of what Bezos and them do.
Yeah, Bezos has been selling a lot of Amazon. He's been selling a lot of Amazon, but that's what he's done prior. Like recently, I don't know what he's looking to do, but he's been selling billions and billions of dollars of worth of Amazon stock lately.
Is that kind of a red flag to you? Like, oh, so
No,
we should.
no, I think for people like that, not really, because most of their net worth is tied up in these big names, right? And it's not like he's selling everything. He's 5 billion to us is like a lot of money. To him, it's like a fraction of what he owns, right? So it's like he wants to pull cash out and maybe start another venture. So I don't think it's a big red flag at all.
You mentioned Vwap or Vwap. What's that? It's an indicator something?
Vwap.
Vwap. What's that do?
It's the only indicator that I'll use, and it kind of averages in the volume and price. So when I trade, like I mentioned, I like to look at the price action. I like to look at volume. I like to look at activity between buyers and sellers. So the VWAP is one of the very few indicators that will show you price in conjunction to the volume. Volume is the transaction that is happening for that particular security, right? So it's showing you, it's combining both of those things into a line, right? And that line is kind of indicating, is volume, stepping in according to price, or is it not stepping in? So you're able to put both things together. It's just kind of like another look. Like that's not my main thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to buy because the VWAP is telling me this or not. It's just something I have in my chart just to give me an additional level of confirmation.
Do you have like a number in mind before you retire, or like how rich do you gotta get?
Genuinely, I don't think there's a number that exists. I enjoy working. I enjoy my day to day like a lot. I've taken a year off in 2022. I've taken like a year off from everything. I've traded
Oh,
passively on the side, and I've done well, but I didn't I didn't love it. Like it's good. I think I like 6 weeks of working and a week or two of like traveling and stuff. But I think if I'm fully disconnected from work or disconnected from projects, I don't feel productive, and I enjoy chaos. I enjoy building. I enjoy working on projects, right? So it's like with TradeZilla, with Blackline, with a few other things I'm involved in. It keeps me very mentally active. So I don't, and I'm not doing it at this point where it's like money is the sole purpose. There's an element of like I'm having fun, I'm staying engaged, and it's just really just pushing me to become better at my crafts.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the retirement's a myth. You gotta. The void's always gonna creep in if you're just watching movies all day.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think every person is wired that way. I know a lot of people, like I have some friends that have had massive exits out of a company. I know this one guy, he sold his company for 975 million. And I asked him like, hey, so what's next? Like, are you done? He's like, look, I took 2 months off and I went crazy. I was like, wow, I
Nice.
cannot just sit at home. So he's like, I'm taking advisory roles in different companies, different roles. Uh, and you start
Nice.
to realize that with these really high performing individuals, that people want to just perform. And money's not the goal. It's just the performance. They want to compete. They want to play a game at a high level, and they just want to keep
Yeah.
going.
They just want to stimulate their heads.
Yeah. And if you
What did you
stay,
do? What
yeah,
did you do for that year off?
traveled a lot. It was kind of like 6 months. Just traveled.
What was your favorite place that you traveled to?
I I still like Dubai. I don't know. Dubai is I don't want to say it's my favorite place I've traveled to. I think everywhere I've traveled has been a little bit different, and it depends what you want to kind of what environment you want to be in when you're traveling, I guess. But I like a place that also feels like home to me that I love going to, and that's why I've shifted there is Dubai. Just living there, the life, how safe it is, how clean it is, how accessible everything is. It just never felt anything other than home.
Interesting. Yeah, I've Dubai is like this artificial city in the desert.
Too much of it is bad, I'll tell you that much. I think after 8 weeks, I need to leave. But in those 8 week period, I love it.
What's there to do there? Just party and
No, I mean,
Jet ski?
there's, I mean, think of it as like a combination of New York, Miami, California, the best of everything, and take the worst parts out, right? A lot of people think
Interesting.
Dubai is like no parties, but there are parties, there are clubs, there's things like that going on. Then if you take that element out and you're like, I don't want to do that stuff, but I just want to go to cool places, eat good food, kind of be on the beach, being like a more chill, and vibe out and so on. You have that too. Then there's like a whole business district of working individuals, people pushing each other, people getting better and so on. Shopping, a lot of cool spots to visit. You're also kind of on that side of the world, so everything is like 4 or 5 hours away from you. So traveling into those places is always fun too.
Yeah, it's pretty close to Egypt, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
pyramids.
yeah. When you're on that side of the world, like everything is all that stuff is like 5 hours away. That's why everyone there goes to Europe or goes to those parts for a little bit.
What did you start in Dubai? You had like some kind of trade floor?
Yeah, so we have a trading floor in Dubai, called Blackline Trading. Looking for good traders, scaling up with them, building them up, doing profit shares and so on.
Hmm.
Just building that really. That's the big project in Dubai, and the long term goal is to eventually get into more, position trading and swing trading and etc. But right now it's just to kick off the day trading element of it. It has been very tough. I'll tell you that much, because I think from a social media point of view, people see things happening and they see this is happening and it's very easy and fluid. But it's been a really difficult process. It's been 50 times more difficult than I thought. There's like an infrastructure element of it, like setting up a proper infrastructure, a proper flow, getting a proper team, then knowing how to scale that, then knowing who to allocate money to, who not to allocate money to, and kind of doing all of that was a lot more difficult. It has been a lot more difficult than I anticipated.
Well, so these are guys that are just coming that you recruit and they day trade and then you take a cut of the profits.
Yeah, so it's essentially it's like a prop firm, and I want to be very careful when I use that word prop firm because nowadays we have like these companies, funding companies that are BS, that make you take
Mm.
challenges and all that stuff. That's not what we do. We don't have challenges. We don't make people go through that challenges process. We're actually recruiting good traders that have somewhat of a track record, and we believe that if we incorporate a structure behind them, we can both collectively do very, very well in the space of trading.
And their incentive to go trade with you is because like your guidance and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm not there 24/7, and like that's not an incentive that I've offered where hey you're gonna be right next to me trading just because I'm involved in other projects, and I realize where can I allocate my time that I think is the most important thing, and it's not that. So, but we do have a head trader there that is guiding people, and they're getting capital, they're getting tools, they're getting a level of framework, a level of structure, risk management. They're getting this help because the problem with trading is you could be a good trader, but when you sit at home by yourself and you have no one looking over you to tell you things you're doing right or wrong and putting that guideline element on you, you can go on a bad tilt. Like I've seen traders where they've made like $500,000 in like 4 months, and in 2 weeks they blew it,
Okay.
right? And it's like, well, how'd you blow it in 2 weeks? You're right. It sounds absurd, but when you're in that environment and you're putting on trades, it's as easy as instead of you going into a position with 400 contracts, you go in with 1,000 contracts 6 times over and over again, and you keep losing money. Next thing you know, your P&L balloons into a big, big negative number, and you get destroyed. Yeah.
What's your biggest month?
My biggest month was the first biggest month was in 2020, about $1 million. That's my first $1 million month I had. And then this is what I was telling you beforehand, where there's this concept of can I do it again? And then my next biggest month took about 22 months later, which was about 1.1 million, right? And then just for context, because for people that aren't familiar with me or whatnot, these numbers I am throwing out, if the guys do go to my Instagram or whatever, I have a video of like me logging into my broker, TD Ameritrade, like an American verified broker, showing this. Not a screenshot, not a, picture of something, like me logging in. And even for the past 6 years, one thing that I've done is every year at the end of the year, however my year's been, I would just log into my broker, iPhone camera video, and say, here's my video, here's my year-to-date P&L for the whole year. And just for transparency purposes, because I'm a strong believer that if I'm talking about something and I'm saying I'm good at it, I should be able to back it up with some sort of proof. But yeah, that was 1.1 was my biggest month, and I haven't had a month that big again since 2022. So that's been 2 years. Just to put in context of how this game kind of goes sometimes, when you'll have this big month and you're like, well, I haven't had it again, and then mentally you start beating yourself up.
Where do you live now?
I alternate between Dubai and New York. Most of the time I'm in Dubai, because I shifted there late 2022. I shifted there early 2023. So spend most of my time there, from there to New York. My family's in New York. So would come here.
You own property in New York?
Yeah, I own some property in New York. Nothing too crazy, just because I'm very kind of selective on like real estate in a way, just because I move around a lot and I don't want to be stuck to certain areas and certain situations. But I own a little bit of property, yeah.
What advice would you give someone who has $1,000 and they're ready to jump in to day trading?
Someone that has $1,000 and they're jumping into day trading, number one, don't look to get rich. That $1,000 is not really going to get you rich, and don't look to make money. I know it's the complete opposite of what people are getting into trading for. With that $1,000, first start equipping yourself with the right knowledge and right tools to actually become a good trader, right? And I can go through that in a bit. Then give yourself a wider time horizon. A lot of people that enter trading, they want to become profitable in month 1 or 2 or 3. Scratch that, eliminate that. Say, I want to become a good trader by the end of the year. This is what a good trader has and needs to have to be a good trader, right? I need to have setups. I need to have strategies that make sense, that are back tested and forward tested. I need to understand the markets I want to trade. I need to understand the instruments I want to trade, right? Because when you go into trading, you have crypto, you have Forex, you have stocks, you have futures, you have options, right? And then when you go to stocks, you also have smaller names, like you have penny stocks, you have the bigger name stocks. Then do you want to trade options? Like there's so many different elements of things to trade. So when you pick that, then you have to pick what type of trader are you. Are you going to swing trade, where you're holding positions overnight or over week, or are you looking to day trade? If you're looking to day trade, are you looking to like be in and out of positions under a few minutes, or are you looking to hold positions 20, 30 minutes? Then it goes to what is your approach to the market, right? Are you going to be a price action trader? Are you going to be looking at order flow? Like what are the things that you're going to look at as a trader that are going to make sense to you? I think
How do you figure out what makes sense to you? Like, how do you learn all this stuff? Just YouTube videos?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is on YouTube. That's why it's like, if you do listen to anyone in YouTube, make sure you're like, they can back up what they're saying, right? My biggest thing is when you do go on YouTube is like, when people are trying to sell you something over and over again, like if you go on a YouTube video and they're like, hey, 90% off, buy my program, go to the next guy, go to the next person, right? Make sure that what that person is telling you, they are following themselves, because we live in an era where everyone is a guru and everyone shares an opinion after reading a book. So they sound like they're smart, but it's like, do they have battle wounds on them that showcase they went through this, right? Can they back it up with actual proof? Have they done it repeat? Like if I'm getting into trading today, respectfully, I'm not interested in listening to someone that started trading in 2023. It's been like a year and a half, 2 years. Like I'm not really interested in learning from you. I want to listen to the person that has maybe doing it for 5, 4, 6+ years. Why? Because they have more experience under their belt. And I think the things they're saying is coming from experience. It's not coming from them watching something or reading something and just kind of translating it into their own version. The $1,000 that you're using, I mean, you can take trades with them, right? You can open up an account, open up a broker account, take trades. But before you even go take real trades with real money, just paper trade for a little bit. at least a month or two. Paper trading is where you trade the real markets with fake money, and paper trading isn't gonna like be this magical thing where you're gonna become the best trader, but it's gonna let you know how to use the platform. It's gonna let you place some orders at no cost. You'd rather do that and get familiar with things at no cost than you putting your hard-earned money into the market and then kind of potentially losing parts of it.
Paper trading.
Yeah.
What software should I use to do that?
There's a lot of cool softwares like TD Ameritrade offers paper trading. I think depending on what country someone is in, they can look up their paper trading softwares that exist for their kind of area. We have it in TradeZilla to throw a shameless plug there, but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Well, great.
yeah.
Yeah. TradeZilla. The million month you had. What was the trade? What was the stock?
It was a few stocks. So in 2020, it was a lot of Tesla and SPY. In 2022, it was a firm. And anyone
Like
that's
like a mutual fund?
no, no. So in 2020, it was SPY, the S&P 500. It wasn't a mutual fund. It was like the actual stock, right? And Tesla stock. I traded Tesla stock.
Right. Right.
That was in 2020. In 2022, I did very well with the firm AFF, I think M, whatever their ticker symbol is, but it's the company that that lets you make the payments over time. I don't know if you've ever come across them, but they were, yeah, that was the name I did really well with. And I was that name was also cool because I think before I got in, I tweeted about it and I posted it on like socials, like, hey, I'm buying this and blah blah blah. And surprisingly, that did really well.
The stock's called a firm, like AFFIR,
AFFIRM, a firm. That's the company's name. That was
and that's also the stock symbol.
no stock symbol. I think is AFFM.
Oh, okay. What do
Yeah,
what do they do? What's their company?
they're a buy now pay later company.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. AFRM is their ticker symbol. But yeah, they're a buy now pay later company. And the crazy part about a firm, when I traded this around I think like 40, $50 or something to about $160. This stock currently today is $27.
what gave you the hunch to trade in it in the first place?
So with the firm, I was swing trading it. I remember they had a partnership with Shopify, so I bought in due to the partnership momentum. And then this was just timing and luck. They announced a partnership, I believe, with Amazon a week later, and that just became this massive momentum name. And then also in 2022, around that time, we had a lot of bullish sentiment, good sentiment around buy now, pay later companies. I remember there was some company in Europe that got bought out for like 40 billion. So like the names in that space just had so much heat around them. So it's like just like how we're seeing AI being super hot now, just like how we saw gambling stocks being super hot at a certain point, just like how we saw pot stocks being hot at a certain time. There was a correlation of like, okay, this name is super hot right now in terms of this market is hot, buy now, pay later. They're doing a partnership with Shopify. They're doing a partnership. I didn't know about the Amazon one. The Amazon one came out once I was in it. So all these things just added fuel to the fire and it just started like rallying.
Nice. What do you read to stay up to date with everything? Like you just read like the New York Times or something, or?
No, so I'll go into like CNBC. I'll read what's going on with the market. I'll have CNBC on like an hour or two when the market opens throughout the day, just to kind of get a gist of like what is the topic, what is the big stuff that the market's talking about. Same thing with Bloomberg. What is the market really focused on right now? Like in 2022, inflation was like the big hot topic, right? So at that point, like market cares about like CPI, they care about job reports, they care about what the Feds are gonna do with interest rates. So market starts paying attention to clues. So I would identify market cares about these clues, and as they care about these clues, what can I see that price does once a clue comes out? Does price respond positively or does price get crushed? And from there, let's set up a trade idea that I think makes sense for that particular given day, and let's kind of take action on that.
In our last interview, you mentioned you didn't really care for Bitcoin. Has that changed at all?
Uh, I don't know if I said I didn't care about Bitcoin. I was actually I'm trying to remember what I said. I think I
Well,
was
you
on
were
Bitcoin.
you were you were you had you said you had some Ethereum, Litecoin, something,
Yeah,
and then
I had some Litecoin, which was like terrible, by the way. I am bullish on Bitcoin. I think I got more bullish in Bitcoin during COVID, like
okay,
really, really, strongly bullish on it. And I started picking up a good amount from 2020, 2021, 2022. Just kept buying a good amount every single month. So I'm bullish on it. But, all of these things, I always tell people it's like, in the world of investing, the world of trading, nothing is 100% certain ever. So when you do take a position and when you do vouch for something, you have to factor in the element of being wrong. And if you are wrong and that trade doesn't work out or that investment doesn't work out, are you okay with the downside? So it's like we all can talk about Bitcoin and say how great it is and how we think it's going to go to 200,000 or 300,000. Okay, well, what if it doesn't? Right now, what? Are
right.
you okay with the amount you have invested going to zero?
What's your most proudest purchase?
Oh, my most proudest purchase, easy. I bought my family a home, my mom and dad, a $4 million house, which I'm currently in right now in New York. I bought them this 7 months ago, 8 months ago.
Nice.
Had to be, yeah, easily my top proudest purchase ever, and I don't think anything's ever gonna top that. Just seeing how happy my parents were. I come from an immigrant background, so my parents left everything, came to America, worked really hard to give me and my siblings a better life. So me being able to buy them a beautiful home in this beautiful area is like I don't think anything can ever top that.
What do you do for fun now?
Good question, man. I'm trying. I'm trying. No, it's a good question because I'm trying to find hobbies. Right. It's kind of one of my goals for this year. I'm trying to find hobbies. I don't really have much hobbies. Like I've done hot yoga. I've picked up boxing, and then I'll stop it. I want to get into like horse riding, and it's like I'm trying different stuff, right? But it's like nothing sticks. Like I genuinely enjoy working. I love reading. Like you can see a lot of books. Like I probably have a
Yeah, yeah.
thousand books here. I just pick up different books. I'll learn about new things. That's what I like to do for fun. Like I'll just go. I
Reading.
like reading, learning, watching YouTube videos on different things in the space of business. Like TradeZilla is a whole new tech company, right? I know nothing about tech, so for me to get into a new spectrum that I know nothing about and work my way into learning how to operate and build this company, hire people, build different departments, scale, and so on, like I enjoy that challenge. I enjoy putting myself in those predicaments.
Yeah, the you don't know how to code or anything,
No.
so you had to hire a guy to do all that.
Yeah, I hired a team, then started learning about infrastructure, what are the things to look at, how the structure should look. So picking up parts and bits of stuff and then knowing a little bit, but knowing enough to put a team together with coding, with marketing, with growth, with customer support, like a lot of different stuff, just putting it together in terms of a company. And, to me, that is where I find fun in the chaos, which sounds sickening, but I love it. And I realize
No.
so many people like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, starting from scratch, how do you find that your team? Like, did you just go on Upwork or something?
No, so TradeZilla, we started in 2020. Like that's when the idea came, right? And then we hired an agency, which was a terrible move, and that agency built a code which was terrible, like terrible. Wasn't scalable, had a lot of technical depth to it. It just wasn't a good code that we can scale on, right? They didn't deliver when they were supposed to. So everything was just a mess. So my idea then at 2020, when I was 25, was I'm going to pay X amount to get what I want built. And a lot of people think that. They think, well, if you have money, you can just pay to get whatever you want. And that was my approach at 25. And I did that, and it was absolute shit. Like, I did not get what I
Well,
wanted. It was not
wait,
anything.
this agency did it for you?
Yeah, I hired a company to just build it because I
How
was like,
much?
so early on, I paid low six figures for it for the first version. But the first version that we built that was low six figures, it had to get refactored, restructured, everything. So people that understand coding to a certain element, it's like we had shit and we had to go back in and start fixing it. So
Damn.
September 2020 is when I wanted to launch TradeZilla originally, and like no, things didn't go that way. Then when I looked into the code, I hired some advisors. I hired people to look into it to get multiple different opinions. My thing is always when I don't understand something, I will ask experts, a few different experts on that topic without telling them the cross coordination of what other people are saying. And I'll start looking at the patterns of what everyone else is saying. Right. So it's like if that pattern is consistent of what issues they're bringing up, that's a real pattern. Because I don't want to go to an expert and he says something and then someone says something completely left field. Now it's like, okay, well, now it's an opinion based thing. It's not a factual based, conversation. So when I went to a few different people, it was like, hey, this code is not scalable. These are the issues. These are security concerns. These are the concerns with the logic. These are the issues you're going to run into. These are the bugs. So from there, I scraped the project, and then I spent the next 7 months looking for engineers. I have probably interviewed from 2020 of September till May of 2021. I have probably interviewed in terms of companies and people over 200 people easily. And that 200 people was probably done in the span of 3 weeks.
You didn't get your money back from the agency?
No.
They were just like, sorry, it's shitty, but deal with it.
Yeah, because you're paying in increments, right? You're not paying at the end, you're paying in increments. So it was just one of those business hits you take, and you're like, whatever, you take the hit, you move on. You can try to fight it and take it to court and make it this whole thing, but at the end of the day, it becomes a losing game. So it's also picking and choosing. Is it worth battling this? So then the next 6 months, just doubling down, learning about things, learning how to structure the team, how to build things in together from that. And then from there, we were able to get our first developer, Alex, really smart guy, really, really good at what he does. He's also part of a company or part of a team that's built, we're the very first people that built Calendly, right? Calendly is worth
okay.
3 billion now. So he was one of the
Yeah.
very first people, part of that. Then from there, we added, another piece
How'd
of
you
the
meet
team.
him?
So I met him through this company, these people that I was familiar with. I'm friends with the CEO really well. Yaroslav is his name. So they have a company, Railsware, and we were able to put together something where I was able to get some of their engineers on our team and just scale up the engineering team, and kind of have them just join us instead of it like being like this whole agency thing or being this approach of like, we're gonna work with people and not know what's going on. So then we start having an in-house structure of the development process. And these are all things I didn't know. Like even as I'm talking about it,
Yeah.
it's like I didn't know what was the approach. And the way I've learned it is just throwing myself in the mud and feeling how it feels and what works and what doesn't. And it's the same concept the same approach that I did with trading, right? So that same approach that essentially works in everything else. Just put yourself in mud, figure it out. It's going to get muddy. It's going to get messy. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be costly. But let's strategize and think about this and look at ways that make sense.
Has TradeZilla made money yet?
Yeah, we're doing very, very well. Yeah,
Oh,
thank
good.
God. We're growing, very strong valuation. We're purely self-funded, family owned. We don't have outside investors. It's me and my two sisters, so we all three are building the company, working on it, scaling it, taking no outside investment, and the numbers for a company that's launched for 2.5 years in, so far have been like very, very good.
Awesome, man. You watch CoffeeZilla?
I've seen some of his stuff. Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff. Yeah.
He's never featured you, right?
Thank God. Yeah, that's not a place I want to be. I want to be featured in. That's one place I would not like to be featured in. But yeah, I've seen his stuff. Pretty cool.
Yeah, he's been killing it.
Yeah, I think that things like that are good and needed in the space. I just I think it should also be done on like smaller creators. I think for when CoffeeZilla is at the level he's at, his focus point comes on like bigger names like Logan Paul and this guy and that guy that are really, really big names. But yeah, I think what he's doing is pretty cool.
One last question. Do you consider yourself happy?
Good question as well. I don't think happiness is a constant. I think people that chase happiness are chasing the wrong thing, and I chased happiness until 23, 24, and I learned then. So when you and I did do the interview when I was 23, I wasn't happy. Yeah, I wasn't
Why?
happy, right? I don't even want to say happiness was a term. I wasn't fulfilled. I didn't know what I wanted entirely. I was mentally all over the place and I wasn't like content, right? Over the years, I've learned chasing happiness is the worst thing to chase because happiness is never a constant. It is not a constant thing and it shouldn't be a constant thing, right? We only know how happiness feels when we feel sad. If we never felt sad and we felt happy all the time, happiness becomes such a normality to us that we don't know that it exists, right?
Deep.
So the idea, for me became, well, I'm not aiming to be happy. I'm aiming to feel content, feel fulfilled. I enjoy my day to day. I'm able to process the things I'm doing. Like I have days where I don't feel the best. There's days I don't want to roll out of bed. And you have like seasonal depression, which kicks in and you don't want to do anything. And a lot of it is part of just the human anatomy that we're going to feel as humans, right? Just from a basic level. And bad days, good days, everything. But I think all of those things in conjunction make up everything you're at. Am I content with where I'm at? Do I wake up feeling good majority of the time? Yeah, sure. Am I happy every day? Kind of. Do I enjoy my life? Do I enjoy the things I'm doing? Sure. Did I not enjoy my life at a certain point? Yes, but I worked onto making my life the way I want to enjoy my life and the things I want to do. So even for people that don't enjoy their life, it's like, okay, well, what do you need to do to get to that point to feel content and enjoy your life and feel fulfilled? Work towards that and, you can create that.
You said when we last talked, you weren't happy or enjoying your life, and now you're good. What do you think changed?
I think at that point I was very driven by money. So from an early age, 17, I just wanted to make money. There wasn't like a sense of like purpose, a sense of fulfillment. It was like money, money, money. And I think that drove me into trading and got me to the stage I was at, which I'm very happy with, of course, or content with. But I didn't have proper mental direction of like, I'm waking up, I'm trading, I'll make money, but I feel empty. I don't have that sense of fulfillment, and I didn't have that around then. So it's like I would wake up days just feeling empty. It's also when you make money without a sense of fulfillment or sense of purpose, it does lead you to a really bad road. So around that time, from 23 to parts of half of 24, I did go through this really tough route of like this 23-year-old making six figures plus a month consistently over and over again. Is like, why do I feel this level of emptiness? And it was because I didn't have purpose and I didn't have, a sense of things that made me feel whole, made me feel content.
What are some of the things that make you feel whole?
I love, from a work point of view, I love building. Like I love like building cool projects. From like a personal point of view, I'm doing some projects in like Pakistan. I was born in Pakistan and back there, I'm doing like projects, building schools, helping the unfortunate people there that don't have opportunities. So knowing that, hey, I'm in a situation where I can work very hard and I have no glass ceiling that exists for me and I can just keep generating more and more money and more things here and I can help people in countries and places that don't have that, fulfills me. It makes me extremely, content, extremely excited about the future. Spending time with family, right? Knowing like, because when you're 23, 22, you think like, hey, if I go and I make all this money and I buy this car and I buy this watch and I buy this, it's going to make me happy. And then when you get these things, you realize I don't really care about these things. So then you start breaking it down, like, what do I care about? I love spending time with people I love, like my family. I love spending time with them. It makes me really, really happy. It makes me really content. Doing things for others back home that don't have a good financial future and being able to contribute to their life makes me happy, makes me content, makes me, fulfilled. Same thing when building. Like I love building TradeZilla. I love building Blackline. I love getting involved in different projects. I love feeling challenged. I love feeling pressured. That gives me this sense of like urgency of just wanting to be better and waking up every day excited.
Awesome. Yeah, money's a tool.
Yeah.
It can be used for good or evil.
Yeah. And if you don't know much about yourself, it can really take you down a bad road. So like, yeah, money's a good tool. It's a great tool. If you use it right, it does bring a level of happiness because people throw out this whole term, money doesn't bring happiness. And it's like, yeah, well, if you use it for the right things as a tool, it will make your life easier and give you more comfort to you and your loved ones if you use it the right way, which will in return generate a level of fulfillment, happiness, whatever you want to call it. So it's knowing how to use that tool. And if you don't use it the right way and you're like out partying and clubbing and buying stupid things and for the wrong reasons, you're going to feel, have this empty hole.
Did you kind of have a party phase in your early 20s?
A little bit in Miami. I lived in Miami for a bit, so.
You snorting lines of coke?
No, not that crazy. I've never, thank God, I've never done drugs ever.
Well,
Not
that's
really.
good.
Yeah, that's wild.
I think I covered everything. Did you want me to ask you
No,
anything else?
I think that was actually really, really great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Again, check out Umar's channel. Check out all his stuff in the description. And let us know what you think about everything we talked about. And I will see you next week. Thank you.